Welcome to the Lovestead.
Hello, welcome back to Lady Lovestead Reads. My name is Jessica and this is my October vlog. This is a pretty standard reading vlog that takes place across the course of the month. I found it easier to vlog throughout the month rather than trying to post a weekly vlog. So it's just how I do things around here. If you're new here, my name is Jessica and I do read typically one of two things. So on the one side, I will tend to read some dark and twisted stuff, thrillers, horror, unhinged lit fic, that kind of thing. And on the other side, I like to read cozy, whimsical things, cozy mysteries, lighthearted fantasy, contemporaries, and that kind of thing. So typically the books I read fall into one of those two categories. Since I do read some dark and twisted things, make sure that you always check your trigger warnings before you read any of the books that I talk about. Another thing to share with you is that I do rate books on a 5-point scale, 5 being the best, 1 being problematic. Anything that's a 3-star or above, I do recommend. Let me share with you what I'm currently reading. I usually read at least 3 books at a time. I read one book that is 500 or fewer pages. I read one book that is more than 500 pages, and then an audiobook. The 3 books that I'm focusing on right now, the one that's under 500 pages is Happiness Falls by Angie Kim, and this is an adult thriller. This was also my buddy read pick for the month for the Lovestead, and I started it last month, the last week of September, and just wasn't able to finish it. I'm close to halfway through and really enjoying it so far. This is about a family. They're biracial, Korean and Caucasian, and their father goes missing. So there's the mom, the dad, a set of twins, and then a younger brother. And the younger brother has autism and Angelman syndrome, and he's nonverbal. And when the father goes missing, Eugene, who is the younger brother, comes home and he's very agitated. And he is the last one to have seen their father. And so part of the intrigue of this is trying to figure out, like, how can we communicate with Eugene to get more information about what might have happened to their dad. And it deals a lot with, like, mental health topics. And it deals a lot with just, like, cognition and psychology and the way our brains perceive information, intake information, make sense of information, connect ideas together. It's really interesting stuff if you're into the field of psychology. I'd really recommend this book because it touches on a lot of topics within the field. That being said, I'm on about page 120, so I have a lot to read yet. Next, the book that's over 500 pages that I'm currently reading is The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang, and I have not gotten very far into this at all. I've only read like 2 chapters of it, so I can't really tell you a whole lot about it other than it's taking place in this society where gender roles are pretty traditional. Like, the women stay home and take care of the house and the men go out and fight and are warriors. And there's a school on the top of the mountain where they're teaching young kids how to be sword fighters, swordsmen and women. I don't really know a whole lot of other than that, and I don't really know what it's supposed to be about because I didn't get into the synopsis so much. This is just a book that comes highly rated by a lot of my friends and others I respect here in the community. So I picked it up without really knowing and just going into it because it's a favorite of so many booktubers, readers, and other creators who have similar taste to me when it comes to high fantasy. Now, that being said, I don't have a lot of experience with adult high fantasy. I've read Lord of the Rings and I'm in the middle of the Game of Thrones series, and that's about it. So I'm still kind of a newbie to the genre. I'm giving this one a try. And, you know, I'll admit I'm like 20 pages in and it hasn't grabbed me yet, but that's not very far at all into the story. So we'll keep going with that one. And then I am picking up a new audiobook My friend Storm at Storm Reads every October hosts a readathon called Halloween, which is where you read spoopy books that are middle grade or even younger. And so I am picking up a spoopy middle grade book by one of my favorite authors, Kate Ellis Marshall. She has written adult thrillers, YA horror, and this is the first in one of her middle grade series. It's called 13s. Dark and twisted story about a sleepy town with a secret and 3 kids brave enough to uncover it. Perfect for fans of Stranger Things. Every 13 years in the town of Eden, Eld, 3 13-year-olds disappear. Eleanor has just moved to the quiet, prosperous town when she wakes to discover an ancient grandfather clock that she's never seen before outside her new room. She's sure her eyes must be playing tricks on her, but then she spots a large bird staring at her as she boards the school bus. And a black dog with glowing red eyes follows her around town. All she wants is to be normal, and these are far from normal. And worse, no one else can see them. I love Kate Ellis Marshall's writing, so I'm really excited to see what her middle grades are like. Those are the 3 books that I'm reading. It is Wednesday, October 2nd, so got a long work day. My late work days are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I'm actually on a break right now because my computer is running an update, so I put some laundry in the washer. You're probably hearing that. I apologize if that noise is annoying for you. Don't really have any other updates for you. Happy October. I know it is a beloved month in the community. So I know there are traditions that use the woolly bear caterpillar to predict what kind of a winter we're gonna have. So here's the first woolly bear I've seen. What do you think this guy's saying about our upcoming winter? Aside from put me down. Are those turkeys so scary? Are they so scary? Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're terrifying. Oh my goodness, sassafras. Hello, it is Sunday, October 6th, and I wanted to do a check-in, obviously. I finished Happiness Falls by Angie Kim. I gave it 4 stars. This book covers a lot of ground in terms of psychology. If you're a student of psychology, I really recommend this. It gets really into cognition, cognitive biases, cognitive distortions, and it also really gets into language processing, and speech. So if any of those things really interest you, definitely pick it up. Another one of the really common things it explores is happiness. So what is happiness and how do we measure it? One of the characters is doing this project called the happiness quotient, where they're trying to determine if they can numerically quantify happiness and use it as data to help people be happier in their lives. So it talks a lot about like we start at a baseline of expectations, and manipulating our baseline and our expectations to control happiness, and if that's even possible or maybe even ethical. The big question in mystery is, what would you do if your non-speaking child was accused of murder? And all of the complexities that go into that, including what happens when a child with disabilities is accused of a crime and has to go to a juvenile detention center. What does that look like? How is that handled? All of those complex layers are in this story. And then on top of that, we've got COVID, because this is happening in 2020. So they're quarantining, they've got alerts for being exposed at different points in the story, and how that complicated courts and the justice system in 2020. And there's just so many layers. It's so smart. Like, this book is really, really smart. It makes you think. It absolutely changed the way I conceptualize someone who is non-speaking versus someone who is non-verbal. And it really illustrates how that is a very distinct couple of categories that we need to make sure we keep straight in our heads, because of the level of prejudice that comes with both of those terms and how that prejudice affects the individual. It's so smart is what I can say about it. And if you like psychology, read it. If you really like the science of cognition, read it. If you like a slow burn thriller that really focuses on characters and like breaking down what's going on, you would like it. Let me read you some quotes to see if you like the writing style. Page 7. It's funny with siblings how you think of them as just there, but then something great or awful happens that unearths and makes visible what Koreans call jeong. It's hard to explain in English. It's not any particular emotion, not affection or even love, but a complex bond defined by its depth and history. That sense of belonging to the same whole, your fates intertwined, impossible to sever no matter how much you may want to. Page 170. The problem was the injustice. Yes, I'll keep the character name out to avoid spoilers. Blank was special needs, but he was still a human being who chose to act a certain way. And at 7 years old, was old enough to be held accountable. But of course he wasn't. Page 223. When we first moved to Korea, because I looked Korean, everyone expected me to be fluent in Korean. When they found out I wasn't, I couldn't understand or speak Korean at all. They assumed something was wrong with me and called me a babo, idiot. Harmony's friends, the middle-aged ajumas who lived up to the stereotype for being aggressively, proudly, frank, and nosy, said it often while looking my way, not particularly quietly. It was especially upsetting for me because being told I was smart was the one thing I'd had before then. I wasn't great at making friends, I was awful at sports, always the last to be picked for teams, and I understood from an early age that I was not pretty, with not meaning opposite of rather than mere absence of. It's remarkable how when your twin has desirable attributes you lack, people feel compelled to comment on them, usually to your parents within your earshot. Being stripped of this one thing I'd clung to that hurled me into a deep well of insecurity, self-doubt, and shame. That gives you a little sense of the writing style to see if it might be something that you would enjoy. I gave it 4 stars. The next book to update you on is 13s by Kate Alice Marshall. This is the book I'm reading on audiobook and my first book for Stormy's Halloween Readathon, and I am really enjoying this so far. This is about 3 friends and they all have the same birthmark. They're also all born on Halloween and their names are all palindromes. And it gets into the mystery of what's going on in this small town, because every year or every certain number of years, I don't remember the exact time frame, but 3 13-year-olds go missing. And so they're trying to figure out, why does this happen? And there's this overarching paranormal aspect to that mystery. And it is reminding me kind of a horror version of Winter House by Ben Gooderson. And if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I absolutely love that trilogy. It reminds me of the trilogy because the mystery that these teens are trying to solve has these little riddles in it, similar to Winter House. So Winter House has a bunch of riddles like word games and other types of riddles and puzzles, basically. And 13s is feeling very similar to that, in that there are riddles and puzzles that these kids are trying to figure out to solve the mystery of why children go missing in this town. The characters are well developed. I love the 3 kiddos that we're keeping up with. One of them is named Pip, which always makes me think of my cat Pippi, which is fun. Overall, I'm having a really great time with this story. I'm enjoying it so much, and I'm about halfway through. The next book under 500 pages that I will pick up is one I checked out from the libraries, and it is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. If you watched my mid-year freakout video, this is one of my most anticipated reads for the year. And all I really know about this story going into it is that it's focused on 2 individuals. One is an attorney in Ireland, one is a chess player, and they are both trying to cope with grief from the death of their father. All I really need to know to pick up is Sally Rooney. I love Sally Rooney's writing. I've read all of her other books, and none of them fell below a 4-star. So I'm really excited to get to this. Like I said, it's one of my most anticipated reads for the year, and so that's what I will be picking up next for my book under 500 pages. I have not made any progress with the Sword of Kaigen because I was trying to get through Happiness Falls, since technically I needed to have read that last month for the buddy read. But it's read, it's done, and now I can go share my thoughts about it in the Discord. I do have a Discord. It's the little Lovestead Cottage Discord. You are welcome to join and join our conversations. We do reading sprints. We're doing a watch along. Lots of fun stuff in that group. So if you would like to be a part of our Discord, the link to it is down below in the description box. Buttershot is a good little hunter. He caught a mouse, and now he's hunting down a ladybug. He's got a killer instinct, that one. Unfortunately, he cannot Spider-Man himself up onto the ceiling to get the ladybug he's after. It's so unfair. Spider cat, spider cat. Hello, Charlie. Hi, it is Tuesday, October 8th. Just doing a little check-in here before I get logged in for work, and I'm exhausted this week. Okay, so we've had 1 week of October. I feel like kind of flew by. And now we're into the 2nd week of October, and this week is looking like it's going to be such a grind at work. Like yesterday, I worked 16 hours yesterday. I worked until 2 in the morning, and I still didn't get done what I want to get done, what I wanted to get done for Monday. There's just so much to do this week, so much to do. And then like yesterday, I had a CT scan to try and figure out what's going on with my guts, and I'm not going to share a whole lot about that here in this public space, but if you want to know more, I am sharing more in the Discord, so feel free to join the Discord if you want to know more about that. Basically, have more tests, medical tests coming up here, and probably continuing to do some surgery prep around the house and all this other stuff. And then I do have family in the direct path of Hurricane Milton that I'm really worried about, and it's just a grind this week. This week is just a grind, and it's only Tuesday, and I'm so exhausted because I was up till working until 2 in the morning yesterday, and then I was supposed to take a pet to the vet early this morning, and I tried to get up. I couldn't do it because I just don't feel well, and when you're not feeling well, you can't grind, you know, to the same level that you normally grind. So I had to reschedule the vet appointment this morning and then try and get a little bit more sleep before I started my day. Needless to say, I have not read anything since I finished Happiness Falls. Nothing. That's where we're at right now. this week is a grind, so I don't know if I'll be able to check in again because of all these moving parts and things going on, and just generally not feeling well. So that's where we're at in October so far. My favorite nursery / greenhouse that I'm always going to. I've shown footage of the place in previous videos, usually like early spring when I'm getting my tomato starts and stuff, but they had their fall sale on houseplants. So I got quite a few. I got a donkey tail succulent, several different calatheas, a watermelon peperomia, and then this bigger fiddly fig. It was $5. $5 for that. Such a good deal on all of these. I'm so excited. Hello, it's later in the evening. It's about 9 p.m. on Sunday, October 13th. And I have both a reading update and a book haul for you. So let's do the book haul first. Okay, I'm a Catholic, and recently there was a saint day for a saint called Saint Therese. I found myself being really interested in her story. So I ordered a couple little books about Saint Therese. The first one is 30 Days with Saint Therese by Thomas J. Crowell. It's basically like a 30-day devotional with some quotes from Saint Therese and her recommended meditations and prayers for each day. But then I also got her biography, which is Saint Therese the Little Flower, The Making of a Saint by John Beevers. So what I think I'll do is I'll read this one first so I understand her a bit better, and then work through the devotional. I also just want to say, yes, I am a Catholic. I sometimes dislike sharing that because I know politics and religion are hot topics and all of that. It doesn't matter to me what you practice or don't practice. People of any faith are welcome here. Just putting that out there. Just because I am a Catholic doesn't mean I think that you should be a Catholic. Everyone has their own path. Do what's right for you. I will respect you, and I hope that you can respect me as well. Next, my book of the month haul. This is one of my larger book of the month hauls that I think I've ever had. I got the full 5 books that you're allowed to get in a month. And it's because I had like a really bad day the night before regarding some medical information. And so to cheer myself up, I bought books. And I bought all these books on the same day. So all of my book of the month and my St. Therese books I got on the same day, which would have been October 1st. I think I opened the vlog saying, oh no, I bought books. So 5 books from Book of the Month. The first is The Book of the Witching, The Book of Witching by C.J. Cook. I've never read from C.J. Cook. This says, Clem gets a call that is every mother's worst nightmare. Her 19-year-old daughter, Erin, is unconscious in the hospital after a hiking trip with her friends on the remote Orkney Islands. Met a horrifying end, leaving her boyfriend dead and her best friend missing. When Erin wakes, she doesn't recognize her mother, and she doesn't answer to her name, but insists she is someone named Nix. Clem travels to the site of her daughter's accident, determined to find out what's happened to her. The answer may lie in a dark secret in the history of the Orkneys, a woman wrongly accused of witchcraft and murder 4 centuries ago. Clem begins to wonder whether Erin's strange behavior is a symptom of a broken mind or the effects of an ancient curse. This brings to mind another Book of the Month read that I got, I think last month maybe, which is God of the Woods. Maybe if I can find a third book about missing hikers, I'll do like a missing hikers thriller vlog. Would that be interesting to you? Let me know down below. Dearest by Jackie Walters, or maybe Jackie. I pronounced it with a French accent. My bad if that's not how you say it. This one says, also a new author to me, but it says Flora is a new mom enamored of her baby girl Iris, who has arrived a few weeks early. But with her husband still deployed, Flora must navigate the newborn stage alone. As the sleepless nights pass in their half-empty home, the edges of her reality begin to blur. Household items seem to move of their own accord, and Flora is certain someone is talking to Iris through the baby monitor. Just as Flora becomes convinced she is losing her mind, a surprising guest shows up to help, Flora's own mother, to whom she hasn't spoken in years. Will caring for the baby help them to mend their fraught relationship and start anew? Or is there more that Flora's mother isn't telling her about the events that led to their estrangement? Like a book that illustrates a complicated mother-daughter relationship, and this sounds like it also has some really spooky elements in it, and the cover is pretty cool. Cover is giving me 1985 a little bit with the neon and everything and the font. Phantasm by Kaylee Smith. When Ophelia discovers her mother brutally murdered. There's a theme with mothers in these selections. There is no time to grieve. She has inherited the family's fearsome magic and enormous debt. Circumstances go from dire to deadly, however, when Ophelia's sister decides to pay off the loan by entering Phantasma, a competition where contestants rarely escape alive and the victor is granted a single wish. The only way for Ophelia to save her sister is to win, but Phantasma is a cursed manor full of twisting corridors and lavish ballrooms staffed by enticing demons and fatal temptations, and Ophelia must conquer all 9 floors to succeed if her fears don't overtake her first. When a charming, arrogant stranger claims he can help, Ophelia knows better than to trust him. But with her sister's life on the line, Ophelia can't afford to turn him away. She'll just need to ignore the overwhelming dark attraction brewing or drawing them closer together. Because in Phantasma, the only thing deadlier than losing the game is losing your heart. Sounds like a romantasy, kind of a darker romantasy. I might end up buddy reading this with my friend Jasper. I don't know if we'll do it this month or not. The Bog Wife by Kay Chronister. Since time immemorial, the Hattersley family has tended the cranberry bog. In exchange, the bog sustains them. The staunch seasons of their lives are governed by a strict covenant that is renewed each generation with the ritual sacrifice of their patriarch. And in return, the bog produces a bog wife. Brought to life from vegetation, this woman is meant to carry on the family line. But when the bog fails or refuses to honor the bargain, the Hattersleys, a group of discordant siblings still grieving the mother who mysteriously disappeared years earlier, face a new, unknown future. I don't know if this is magical realism, horror, or how it's classified. I'm going to say horror, but I love carnivorous plants. And there's some carnivorous plants. I only have one carnivorous plant. It's a pitcher plant like this. But all the rest of them have sadly perished. But hopefully when I have more expendable income, I will get some more carnivorous plants. That's a side story, a side quest you really didn't need to know in this very moment. But there you go. And then the last book of the month, Mad Woman by Chelsea Beaker. Clove has gone to extremes to keep her past a secret. Thanks to her lies, she's landed the life of her dreams, complete with a safe husband and 2 adoring children who will never know the terror that was routine in her childhood. If her buried anxiety threatens to breach the surface, if Clove, if that really is her name, focuses on finding the right supplement, the right gratitude meditation. But when she receives a letter from a women's prison in California, her past comes screeching into the present, entangling her in a dangerous game with memory and the people she thought she had outrun. That sounds like Unhinged, maybe women, Unhinged Women lit fic. And then finally, I won a Goodreads giveaway. And I'm so happy about it because it was a giveaway for one of my most anticipated books for the year. And it's a signed copy. So Mel, if you're watching, I think I mentioned in a different discussion on one of my other videos that you're going to be jealous. But Mel, if you're watching, here it is. Blue Sisters by Coco Malors. And as I said, it is a signed copy. I probably won't be getting to this month, but it is one of my most anticipated releases for the year. So at some point in the year, I will probably read this one. I'm just so excited. I got a signed copy. A signed copy. The stack of books is so satisfying. All hardcover, all beautiful covers, all enticing descriptions. Like, I can't wait to sink my teeth into all of these. Speaking of sinking your teeth into things, I read a book another book for Stormy's Hollow Tween. I randomly picked up this one. Well, not randomly, my friend lent it to me. So my friend let me borrow her copy of Bunnicula by Deborah and James Howe, which is about a little vampire bunny, and he sucks all the color out of vegetables, and it's so freaking cute, and I love it so much. It was one of my favorite books when I was a kiddo, and I read it as an adult this week for the first time, and I was pleasantly surprised that I still really love it as an adult. So as an adult, I could catch on to some jokes here and there that I didn't necessarily catch on to when I was a child, which was fun. And then, did you know that Bunnicula has Traveler rep and Romney rep? Let me show you. So on page 22, it says, "I could have sworn it was a gypsy violin. Chester told me. I thought perhaps a caravan was passing by, so I ran to the window. I remember my mother telling me something about caravans when I was a puppy, but for the life of me I couldn't remember what." "What's a caravan?" I asked, feeling a little stupid. "A caravan is a band of gypsies traveling through the forest in their wagons," Chester answered. "Ah, yes," it was coming back to me now. "Station wagons? No, covered wagons. The gypsies travel all through the land, setting up camps around great bonfires, doing magical tricks, and sometimes, if you cross their palms with a piece of silver, they'll tell your fortune." "You mean if I give them a fork, they'd tell me my fortune?" I asked breathlessly. So the main characters are these animals. So it's told from the point of view of Howard, the dog, and his friend Chester. And the family brings home this bunny, Bunnicula, and these two are both very suspicious of Bunnicula's behavior. And so they try to figure out, okay, what is this bunny? What's he doing at night? Is he a threat to the family and all of that? It's so cute and fun. And I was just like pleasantly surprised to see the Traveler rep in there. I gave it 5 stars. Then I am 75% of the way through Out of Range by C.J. Box, which is book 5 in the Joe Pickett series. And I'm enjoying this one. And this one, a game warden from a different county is not alive anymore. And so Joe has to figure out what's happened to this game warden and kind of take over their duties for a while until they find a replacement. So he's like out of town, and then his wife is still in Saddle Spring, and his family and the other normal characters are still in Saddle Spring. And there's some like nefarious things brewing in Saddle Spring around one of my favorite characters that I'm super nervous about. And there's something weird happening in this other county too that I'm like, what is going on there? Where like they're having periods of time where they're just not themselves, like they're foggy headed. I'm like, are they being poisoned? Are they being gassed? Like, what is happening here? So very intriguing storylines happening in this book so far. The mystery is certainly a head scratcher. I have made it a little bit of the way through Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. It was a little hard to get into. It's split between chapters for Ivan and chapters for Peter. And Peter's chapters are written in such a different voice and style, which is like, that makes sense. They're different people. They're different characters. And I do commend Sally Rooney for doing such a good job of making their voices so distinct. But Peter's chapters, I don't like the style. Like, the sentences are short, fragmented. jumping around. It moves from like internal thoughts to external observations, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I think that Peter's supposed to have like anxiety or ADHD or something like that, because he's self-medicating with a lot of street drugs. That could be what she's trying to portray in that writing style, but it was just very hard for me to get into this book because it starts out with Peter's point of view and just that fragmented writing style where it's even sometimes hard to just track what's happening. And this is actually the first Sally Rooney that I've read with my eyes. I normally listen to her on audiobook because she doesn't use quotation marks around dialogue, which does bother me and pull me out of the story sometimes. So I think I would like this better on audiobook, but my library doesn't have it on audiobook. I don't know if it just doesn't exist yet or if my library is not going to get it on audio, but I do think I would enjoy it more listening to it than reading it with my eyes, because so far I'm a little bit underwhelmed. I am into it now, having read a longer chapter with Ivan, because Ivan's voice doesn't have that fragmented, distracted style that Peter's chapters do. And I like his chapters more because I can actually get kind of absorbed in the story. Whereas with Peter's, I'm like, I have to use so much brain power to get through his chapters. But that's kind of where I'm at with it. So far, probably my least favorite Sally Rooney that I've read, but we will see what happens.
Hello. It is Monday, October 14th, and we are having our first chilly fall day of the season. It's actually chilly out. I am wearing a hoodie, and if you know me, it has to hit at least 50 degrees before I will wear a hoodie. Otherwise, I'm good in just like a long sleeve shirt. But no, it's like 50, like just 50 degrees out today, which is awesome. And I have a little bit more work to do for my full-time job when I get home. I'm on my way right now to the barn. I don't usually go to the barn on Mondays. It's usually a longer work day for me, but they needed some extra help with evening chores. So I'm headed out there just to do evening chores and then come home. But since it is so chilly out and the leaves are starting to turn, I'm gonna go to the grocery store after hitting up the barn and pick up some stuff to make like a nice warm home cooked meal. Since I've been having some issues with my guts and some medical issues, I haven't really been able to tolerate a lot of different kinds of foods. Like it's been a lot of like soft foods, applesauce, cottage cheese, yogurt, that kind of thing. I have been venturing out a little bit the past week or so, trying more of like what I normally eat in a week. Sorry about that. Have been venturing out, trying some of the things that I normally eat in a week, and it's going pretty well, like fresh veggies and all of that. It's going pretty well. Lean meats going okay. I get a lot of pain, but anyway, that's nothing that you really need to know. But I think I'm gonna make cheese ravioli for dinner because that feels like warm and cozy. And I think I'm gonna do my first fire of the season in my fireplace. And like if I just hurry up and get through the last little bit of my work for my full-time job for the day, which I think I've only got like half an hour or so of work left to do, it's just gonna be such a cozy reading night, and I'm so excited. I am so excited. It's finally fall. It was a long wait this year. Whew.
Okay, it is Monday, October 21st, and I'm going to say this really quickly so that I get through it before I break down. But I know that a lot of you, if not all of you who watch my videos, really love my animals. I feature them frequently in the videos. They're the most important things in my life, really and truly. My animals are my reason for living. But this past weekend, my dog Orlando passed away. He was 13 years old, and I am heartbroken about it, of course. And that's all that I can really say. I'm gonna spare you the details so that I don't trigger anyone unnecessarily. And I just wanted to make sure that you know that it happened, because I know that you all love them right alongside me. So thank you for loving Orlando with me. And just keep me and my crew in your prayers as we process the loss.